All right. So for today, I'm wearing my first time I've ever worn this jersey for a video, I believe. Here you go, Doug River. '07 is the year that I got this one. So with the start of each season of Corner Gas, they would release a new jersey. It was available on the Corner Gas website. And honestly, of all of my jerseys, if you actually look at the design, I like this one. I mean, the logo is obviously just a sticker, but I actually, this isn't actually a bad jersey. I just didn't qualify it in one of my favorites because it's not an NHL jersey. Oh my God, the string is just all wrong. Oh, crap. Give me a sec. All right, I fixed it. Um, as much as it can be fixed. Um, so last night was one of those nights that I realized a few things. Said in my video first thing this morning about how the Leafs, that wall seems to be there, and for Edmonton, that wall could be showing up as well. Young players can hit that wall. Veterans are usually better at pacing themselves throughout the season. There's a number of cases of veteran players that play better after the deadline after the All-Star break. And the games get more meaningful and tighter, and the scoring drops. So the scoring is going to drop from this point forward. Um, but last night's games left us with some interesting storylines in terms of the standings. Let me get into that here. Because now, as I've said in my video this morning, Montreal is still first place, but Ottawa has 3 games in hand and they're 7 points behind. So that's pretty close. Now, Montreal has 2 games in hand on Boston. Boston's 9 points back. Boston's in a really tough spot. I can't see them maintaining that third place because Toronto's five games in hand and they're 3 points back. I think I'd said 3 games in hand this morning, but it's 5. Um, Washington's first overall. They're ahead of Columbus by 4 points, but Columbus has 2 games in hand. My cats are just trying to kill each other. Bear, are you okay? Come here. Shadow, can you leave her alone? Stop trying to kill her. Maybe if I see what's going on in the background. Oh yeah, now he's just gonna lay on the bed and pretend he's not doing anything. Shadow? Yeah, yeah, your ears go back because you know your name when you hear it. Hey, kitty. Oh, God's sake. All right, back at her. Pittsburgh's 7 points back. And as I said this morning, those are the 3 teams in the East that I really see playing some really good playoff hockey right now. I know both Columbus and Pittsburgh have been 500 over the last 10 games. It is impossible to maintain the kind of win-loss record that the Metro teams have been keeping all year because eventually they have to play each other and get tired out. The Rangers are 9 points behind the Capitals, having played the same amount of games. So the Rangers look pretty ensconced in that number 1 wildcard spot. Which means if you're a Rangers fan, and I know there's a few of you out there, odds are you're crossing over and playing Montreal in the first round. You should probably be salivating at that idea. If Lundqvist is at his best, that means the goaltending is probably a wash between the 2 teams. And for offense, I would give the series to the Rangers. Defense, slight edge to Montreal, but not enough of an edge that I would take Montreal to win that series. Philadelphia currently occupies that second wildcard spot, but again, Toronto is going to have a say in it, and it's possible that Florida could as well. Florida's got 2 wins in a row right now. They have to win games. The overtime losses just they keep them artificially in the race, but they need to start winning if they really want to actually take a run at this. And Philadelphia does look vulnerable. And this is the thing too, and it was said this morning on TSN site because they're behind me. Remember, I said after only a couple of games, the Islanders look different with Doug Weight. The Islanders have games in hand, and if they win this next series of games, they're back in the playoff race. TSN this morning said, "Hey, look, the Islanders are back in the playoff race." I wonder who called that. So they're 5 points back with 4 games in hand, and with the way the Islanders are playing, they can make up that difference. Carolina, though, is a tale in caution here. Carolina, about a month ago, I was stating, hey, these guys look like they're ready to jump into the playoffs, and they've jumped back. They're now 7 points back. They have games in hand, but they really haven't been able to continue the momentum they had a month ago. Um, Jersey, Jersey's just treading water. Buffalo's treading water. Tampa, the realization hit me last night watching Tampa against Ottawa. Tampa's going to miss the playoffs. Vasilevsky didn't look very good. That's the other thing that stood out for me with them against Ottawa. He made a couple of highlight reel saves that you might see on the highlight packages this morning, but he didn't play particularly well. There was a goal or two that I saw and I went, wow, no. So, it's fine to say, oh yeah, no, they can just get rid of Bishop and keep Vasilevsky. Yeah, fine. But is Vasilevsky the answer? Do I have to go back through all my hockey magazines, even recent ones, and point out goalies of the future that didn't work out? That started with Kevin Weeks, but that joke never gets old. He's the goalie of the future, and then he gets traded. He's the goalie of the future, and no matter where Kevin Weeks went, he was the goalie of the future until people realized he was in his 30s. And then it turned into, well, if he hasn't made it by now, he probably never will. And then he had a sensational season with Carolina, and everyone, hey, he's finally arrived, and then he didn't. So that's the issue for Tampa right now. Neither of their goaltenders have been particularly good, and as a Dallas fan, I feel their pain. And Detroit being last overall in the East is baffling to anybody who hasn't watched the Red Wings lately. They have some semblances of something, but I don't like the way their coach does things. I just have to say right up front, if you're a Red Wings fan, I think Jeff Blashill has done them no favors, and I do think he's part of the problem. That'll set off some comments. In the West, of course, Minnesota's way. They're 3 points ahead of San Jose for first in the conference, but they got 2 games in hand on San Jose. Minnesota's, last game was a loss to Calgary, but that's more of Calgary's desperation. Calgary desperately needs to start winning because they've been passed. They've lost control over their own destiny here. But Minnesota's ahead of Chicago by 4 points, and they've got 3 games in hand on Chicago. They're ahead of Nashville, but Nashville has now grabbed that third spot, and I honestly think Nashville, they've been 7-2-1 in their last 10. I think Nashville now is set to be in the playoffs. And I think Nashville, Chicago in the first round, that would be a very tough call. So I'm glad I don't have to make that call until April. San Jose is firmly in first place. I don't see them losing that spot. Anaheim has been good. Edmonton started showing signs of falling back. I saw some Edmonton comments on last night's videos from Edmonton fans stating that they're worried. I know. I feel similar concerns. I think where the problem is this: Edmonton has taken a huge step forward, and they're a good team, but they're playing teams right now that are deeper, more experienced, and have been there before. I look at Victor Arvidsson last night for Nashville, and I just feel a sense of pride because during the summer, I did a video where I stated which players I felt were going to have breakthrough seasons. And everybody was kind of surprised that as a Bruins fan, I didn't talk much about David Pastrnak. And I felt like Pastrnak had already had a breakthrough as a rookie, and that last year's totals were good too. So pointing him out as a breakthrough seemed like a slam dunk. For me, Victor Arvidsson was, the guy that stood out during the whole Nashville run, even though he didn't score a goal. I think it was the last game of the playoffs where he finally scored a goal. It was somewhere in that range, anyways. But he works so hard and he's so good with or without the puck. And I looked at him last night for Nashville, and yeah, that kid has all the skill to potentially put together a Justin Williams type playoff run. I could see it. I could see Nashville being a team that's never won a Stanley Cup to win it this year because there's just a lot of pieces there. I think Subban's injury hurts the team while he's out. But now what you're going to have in the playoffs is hopefully a well-rested PK Subban who hasn't been played 30 minutes a game for 80 games of the year. And maybe he'll have more energy in the playoffs, and there won't be any kind of letdown in the playoffs. And a well-rested, happy PK Subban is dangerous, and you don't want to play against him. So that's my Nashville discussion. Again, even though we were just discussing Edmonton. The Kings have slipped back into the #1 wildcard position, thanks in no small part to Peter Budaj. So the Kings are full value right now. The Blues, and I know Minnesota fans don't like Mike Yeo. I know. St. Louis doesn't care how they play in the playoffs right now. They just want to get to the playoffs. So if Mike Yeo isn't a playoff coach, it doesn't really matter because right now they got to get to the playoffs. They got to keep their run going of playoff appearances because they made the Final Four last year and they can't take a step out of the playoffs this year, or it's just a disaster. Calgary's fallen back. The problem for Calgary is everybody's played less games than they have. So Calgary's going to have a problem that way. The only team that's played more games than them is Winnipeg, who's behind them. Winnipeg with a large victory last night over the vacant and never there Dallas Stars, who sit behind Vancouver, and Vancouver lost last night. And of course, I've been saying, even when Vancouver was looking like they might get into that second wild card, I've still been saying the Canucks are going to miss the playoffs. And I know that's not popular with Canuck fans. I know there's a feeling of I've somehow betrayed the team, or I'm not a real fan because look, they're in the playoffs right now. I just don't think it's something that they can keep going on. I don't think it's a viable streak that this team can make the playoffs. And even then, if they did make the playoffs, they get absolutely slaughtered in the first round. So Vancouver's ahead of Dallas in terms of regulation and overtime. No, they're not actually. They've played one less game. That's why they've got Vancouver ahead of Dallas. But for regulation or overtime wins, that's actually a Dallas advantage. Arizona, right now they've lost their last two, so those 3 wins in a row are distant memory, and they're back in the muck and the mire. But preventing everybody from talking about how bad Arizona is are the Colorado what the hell's going on Avalanche. Lost 9 in a row, 8 of them in regulation. Joe Sakic, I don't know how he's going to survive this. And the worst thing for Colorado is this is not a draft that you tank for. Nolan Patrick is not a guy you tank for. Good player. He's probably going to be a good second line center. You don't tank for him. So I don't know what they're going to do. I really don't know what they're going to do. Now, tonight's action, I might as well get into this because yesterday things went on and I missed this. Um, And today there's a bunch of running around. We're going to the States and then we're going to Surrey. So this is my only chance to do this. Oh no, I'm going to miss Columbus and Pittsburgh. Okay. How do I fake being sick and look myself in the mirror tomorrow? I can't. So Columbus and Pittsburgh. Damn it. I like Pittsburgh in that one. Anaheim's in Florida. Florida. Because they have to go on a run eventually, right? Those 103 points last year can't have been a complete aberration, right? Calgary's in New Jersey. Calgary has to win, so I'll take Calgary. Edmonton's in Carolina. Everybody's ready to jump off the Edmonton bandwagon again. He's got to get nauseating jumping on and off that Edmonton bandwagon. Same with Toronto. I haven't jumped off of any bandwagon. I'm going to take Edmonton in that one. And then the Islanders are in Detroit. Detroit's been alarmingly bad. The only thing keeping their record at all decent over the last few weeks is that my Bruins have been very accommodating to them when they play them. Otherwise, you're looking at an even worse record for Detroit. So you're welcome, Red Wings fans. My Bruins are very accommodating when they need to be. And tonight, I think the Islanders win their 4th in a row. Yeah, Islanders win their 4th in a row and force themselves back into the playoff picture, so they're not even thinking about being sellers right now. That's where we're at, boys and girls. Nobody's going to be a seller at the deadline. Everybody's going to be buyers. Who knows? Maybe even Sakic will come out and say, you know what? I think Colorado, I think we can go on a run. I think we can win 25 in a row. I'm going to stand pat. I might pick up a couple guys at the deadline. Who knows? Let me know in the comments below who you're picking to win tonight's games. Also, what you think of the current NHL standings. I think we're looking at probably 14 of the 16 teams that are going to make the playoffs are probably in the playoffs right now. because I think Boston could fall out. Um, I could see maybe Philly falling out that's currently in there. And in the West, LA is still a team that's a little bit wonky, and St. Louis is a little wonky. I'll say one of those teams will probably fall out. So, all right, 13 out of 16 teams are probably in there that are going to end up being in there. Let me know in the comments below what you guys think, and don't forget to hit like and subscribe because it is a fun thing to do. And now that I have my camera up here, and thank you very much to the people who said, or the person who said that this wonderful little modem here can cause feedback and issues. So that's likely what was going on. I had no idea that this little modem, and there isn't really anywhere else for me to put the modem other than right next to the computer. So I will work on fixing this setup, and I would shoot videos elsewhere away from it and then upload them after, but uh, this house is usually full of screaming children. This is kind of sanctuary, so unless you guys want to hear screaming children while I'm making my predictions or doing hockey videos, just let me know again in the comments below. Thanks for watching, and I will talk to y'all again soon. One last thing, though, I forgot to mention. YouTube's adding a new service. People have been asking me, how do I subscribe? How do I subscribe to your channel without, credit cards and all this? And people who don't want to use Patreon, people might want to just slip me a couple bucks here and there. Live streams. You guys have told me as well, use Twitch. Use Twitch. And part of it is because Twitch allows tips. YouTube's bringing in a tip style service for live streams where you guys donate. When you guys donate in the chat, basically like you'll click on it, there's a dollar sign, you'll click on it, and it will allow you to give a donation, make a comment when you give that donation, and your comment is pinned to the top of the chat. So, and yes, those are moderated. So if a person decides to use a few bucks to troll the chat, I've got money from them, so they've paid me to troll, and then I can just delete their comments, which is sort of awesome. So think about it. What else is it's in here. It's in here somewhere because I was going to discuss it. Yes, called Super Chat. It's Super Chat in live streams, and it's available in. So this is the other thing too, because I know I have viewers from around the globe somehow. Australia, Brazil, Canada, France, Germany, India, Japan, Mexico, South Korea, Spain, the United Kingdom, and the United States of America. So that should cover a lot of the viewership. And yeah, so again, this is just like while I'm doing a live stream, you just drop $1 here, $2 there, whatever you drop goes to me. And then your comment is at the top. It's highlighted in green. It's kind of a cool setup. We'll see how it works. And yeah, so thanks for watching again. And I just figured I would add that before finishing off for today. I will do a video again tonight when we get back. It's probably going to be kind of hectic though, because we have to drop off 2 kids in the States and a kid in Surrey and then come home. So I figured I'd get this out of the way now. Thanks.